Hey Cubers, welcome to McRoCube. Here in this channel I'm gonna be uncovering some of my deepest insights about how AI and technology can revolutionize our future. This includes things like how you can connect a human to a server and how you can install an AI on a smartwatch. In today's episode I'm gonna be explaining how large engine models are gonna be revolutionizing our future. These are models that are able to generate complex video games in one shot. They're able to diffuse themselves to the video game that they want to generate. So they're able to generate video games just like Minecraft, Fortnite, or Roblox. This is a future where we can generate any game that we can imagine and get these models to generate whatever we want. The key to this is world models. Genie 3 is one of the most interesting world models that I ever have seen. This is a model generated and created with love by Google DeepMind to be able to create representations of the physical world. This is an agent or AI that simulates how it is to interact with the world around us. So it simulates the spatial understanding that we humans have, how you move around in a room around you. So it can just create a representation of you moving around your body inside of this simulation. In this image that you see here, have they created a representation where they were able to paint on the wall. So you was just able to click on your keys on your keyboard and use that to work around in this virtual world. So you press W and then you're able to walk straight forward and press all the different keys to be able to paint on this wall. World models are models that simulate our world, but we're needing something even more deep to be able to train these agents in the future. Just understanding the visuals is not enough. The next step is to understand the code. And the third step is to understand how you actually create these environments where these agents should learn how to interact with the physical world. These are the three key steps to agentic intelligence. First, we have world models, just like Genie 3, which are able to generate a representation of our reality. The next step is the engine models, which are able to generate video games by code. To be able to generate any video game you want, just try to imagine to train an agent inside of video games. This is what this enables. And third and not least, we have large environment models, or what we can also call nature foundation models, which understands how you create an environment that agents can thrive inside of. These environment models are just like a survival space where only the best agents is the ones that survive. So if you're not good enough, then you die. Try to imagine that you have to build a shelter. Only the best agents that create the best shelter to survive the night is gonna be the ones that survive. That is exactly what the environmental model does. Today in this episode, I'm gonna be focusing on the large engine models. The models that understand how you create a game that these agents can learn inside of. This is the second step of the four steps to achieve this future. And of course, the fourth step is to train the agents inside of the environmental models to achieve embodiment intelligence. To better understand how these engine models actually function, should we try to take a look at the past. Vision models was a really interesting thing in the past, which was able to generate any kind of image you want. It is using something that you call diffusion. Diffusion is something that uses noise in an image to generate the final output. So we start with a bunch of noise and try to denoise it at every step. So every step we try to remove more and more noise from the image. Another important thing is the large language model. The large language model is the model that understands the meaning behind language. It understands what the different kinds of things means and can predict language by words. So you first have the language, like the input that I've created, then it will generate something a lot of with a lot of noise, so it adds a lot of noise, and every step it tries to remove a lot of noise. It's like text is equal to pixel plus noise, and then we take this and generate an image out of that image with noise. If you look at the example that I've provided, to understand, generate an image of an ancient village in a deep jungle. It first starts with a lot of noise, and when it has removed enough noise, we get the final output that you see to the right. This can be used to better understand how the large engine models actually functions. On the next slide, I'm gonna be telling how we can use this understanding to generate these engine models that can generate any kind of video game. Try to think about this as diffusion-based engines. These are engines that are able to diffusionize video games. The code to this is world is equal to code plus noise is equal to engine. So the key to vision models was the large language model. This was the model that enabled these vision models that were able to generate any kind of image. If we look at these engines here that are able to generate any kind of video game, we will start with the world model. The world model is the model that understands how the world shall look like. The goal here is to denoise our engine until that it looks like that world. Try to think about this as a video game generator that tries to generate something like a three-dimensional space. So we provided a world, and the goal is that this engine generates a story to that world until that it looks like that world. So we have a bunch of different steps, and we try to denoise it more each step. So in the beginning, we have almost no code. We just start with no code at all. But every step we try to denoise more and more code to get more code. So instead of just using pixels, we're now using code as the foundation for these engine models. And until that the engine looks like the world, will the final output be generated. This is one of the methods to creating this vast future. The way that I love to think about the first stage of AI is like creative chatbots. These are chatbots that are able to create anything that you can imagine, any text output and any vision output. You can just ask it to generate anything that you want. The best way to think about world and engine models is like intelligent lobbies. When you're waiting for your match in Fortnite, for the other players to join your match, you are inside a lobby. And that is the way that I think about world models. World models is like the lobby where there doesn't happen anything. You can walk around and do anything that you want, but there's not really a story in the world model. You just have to wait. But then are there the engine model, which is the thing that starts the match. So when all the 100 players have joined, you can then start the match and just play whatever you want. So the world model is this visual area you can walk around in until that your output has been generated. So you just ask the world model to, or this creative intelligent lobby, to generate any game that you want. So it's in this lobby that you wait for your game to be generated, and when your output is done, then you have your video game that you can interact with, just like how you wait in Fortnite. So you can just ask this lobby any kind of question with your voice. You just say, generate me a battle royale game, and then there goes like 7 minutes, and then your game is done. Meanwhile, you wait inside the lobby. So if we combine these models with large audio models which understands audio format and audio input, you can just communicate with this like however you want. There are already such conversational AIs that you can communicate with, like 11 Labs. You just communicate with 11 Labs like a normal person would. It just feels like calling with a person that is not a person but an AI. Then you just call this person or this robot, and then you're just able to ask it any question that you want. But it's also able to interrupt you to ask you questions, not only that you ask questions. So if you're quiet for too long time, the AI would understand and ask you a question instead. This is the way that I think about this future with engine models. So there are three different kinds of impacts this could have on the future. The first is creativity. Creativity is what that makes humans human. We're able to tell each other stories. Since the Stone Age, we're able to create the most beautiful paintings in the last 1000 years. We're able to generate new projects, new games, and anything that we want to. We're just a species that gets a bunch of ideas that we want to use to innovate the world around us. These are actually models that empower this. Engine models is actually empowering you to achieve this future. You can just ask it any kind of question, and then you get any game that you want. So you just get all of your dream games generated right away. The issue though is that you don't prove your different kinds of skills. If you don't have to create the game by yourself, but you just get someone to code it, you only have the idea, but you never prove your skills. So you're only creative to find ideas, but you're never creative anymore to create that idea. You just are like having these AI systems do everything for you. The second impact is education, where you can get games that educate you in the future. So I can just ask how do cells function, and then I get a video game for that, where the AI generate me a video game. So I just ask it this question, and then would I wait inside the lobby, which is the world model, and when my engine model has generated my game, can I go in and learn something about this future? The issue though is if everything is just about playing video games in the future, you will never learn anything. You will never be in the physical world anymore. Actually meaning that this would actually downgrade education instead of empowering it, because you're not moving your body anymore. You're just staying completely still at your computer all day, and the only thing that you're doing is pressing keyboards, the keyboards on your keyboard. The third thing is security. In this future where we're getting AIs that are able to generate so complex things, what is then even security? Can they hack into systems? Can they steal all of your money or financial things? And if these models are so complex as they actually are, and able to generate all kind of code because they're trained on all of these video games, this would actually be dangerous, because then can they hack your system, they can break into you and just take everything what you have and hack into your personal information that you never wanted to share with anyone. So if I think about this future, this has upsides, but also downgrades that downgrade society. And this is the goal, that we want to remove these stuff before they happen. To create these large engine models in the future has vast amount of limitations. This will require way too amount of data and will just burn your computer and CPU out because it's just way too complex for modern technology. We just need to download all of these video games onto this model and just try to imagine how much compute that actually would take. Just downloading a Fortnite update takes around an hour. Try to imagine how long time it takes to generate that update. That would take like a week. And just to generate and make these models and generate the game data would just take forever time. This is a really vast issue because if we're not able to create efficient enough AI systems, then can we just skip it all and just stop making AI research because we can't come any further. So therefore are we needing a way to make these engine models in the future. It is now where we are coming into the essential importance of this model. Vibe coding is the most important thing for this future. It's the thing that makes these AI systems into the future that we call large engine models. We wouldn't vibe code it word by word, but we will vibe code it with diffusion in the future. Vibe coding is when AI codes a system, like a game or software UI, just something that a human can interact with or use. So vibe coding systems are systems that don't need humans any longer to be the coder. The AI and the computer can now code for us. Nowadays, do we have simple stuff like the plane simulator that you see. It can generate simple kinds of three-dimensional representation games that you will get simple interactions with. But in the future, could we generate something the same complex like Fortnite? This is at least the goal of the large engine model, to generate something as complex as this in the future. Fortnite has a bunch of UI that has to be placed in and downloaded and installed before you run the game. It's just so complex. And try to imagine sometime in 1.5 years where we get the first kind of these engine models. And then 3 years into the future where these engine models has improved. This would be insane if they could generate such a complex game like Fortnite into the future. The conclusion for these large engine models is a future where we can ask world models to generate any game that we want. We need to diffuse these engines until that they look like the world representation. Diffusion in code is the future of artificial intelligence. We don't need to diffuse in pixels anymore. We can now try to understand the deepness of our code behind our software. I believe that this is a thing that can revolutionize our future and how we are as species and human. We can get any kind of video game that we want and get these games to teach us anything that we can think of in the future. I believe that this is gonna be an empowering thing, both empowering humans and agents into the artificial era of humanity. I thank you so much for watching. If you think that this future is gonna be exciting, where we can generate any video game that we can imagine, then press the subscribe button to get even more of this content. In this channel do I bring all of my deep insights about how AI is gonna be revolutionizing the future. This is only one of my first 3 ideas about how this is gonna be happening. Else do I see you in the next episode, and I wish you a really nice day.